Hey Masked Singer fans, what's going on? Joey here, and a lot of you guys have been asking me, hey Joey, they're gonna start filming season 4 soon, right? How are they gonna do that? Do you have any idea what's going on? And so I figured I would put together a little video explaining how I think they could film season 4 of The Masked Singer. Now before we get started, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, turn on notifications by hitting that bell button, and give this video a thumbs up. Let's get started. So yeah, that's the biggest question going around online right now. Season 4 is supposed to be recording in about a week and a half, and right now Hollywood as a whole, I mean LA and a couple other major cities in California, have been in lockdown. What's going on? How do you think they can film? And how can the audience get involved? Well, I kind of want to go ahead and take a step back to look at the other masked singers around the world. Currently, right now, in Australia, they're just about to air season 2 of their Masked Singer. It's a little bit different than ours. They only have 12 contestants, and there's a couple different changes, but we'll save that for another video. But they are airing new episodes somehow with some kind of audience. And so this is where the brain starts turning about how we can go ahead and do it here in the States. The situation in Australia is like this. They originally were going to film the entire show in Melbourne, but it turns out Melbourne was like, hey, you can't have an audience. So then they were like, well, why don't we put the audience in Sydney, and they can watch a live feed, and they can vote in that way. And then it turns out then Sydney put a sort of like a max amount of people in one space. So now they're going virtual. That's right. What happens is, if you're a quote-unquote super fan, according to this article that I read from Australia, if you're a super fan, you can go ahead and sign up on this website and you're randomly picked to be a part of the audience. Now, the preview video they kind of showed us didn't really show, you know, how you're watching. Are you just watching from home? Are you actually in the audience in the sense of a screen? When you're voting, is it live voting? Is it pre-recorded and you go back and vote later? Now, I do read, I mean, there is some things that they do explain. It's like, for example, when you do go ahead and look at the performances, you do vote, but you don't see the reveal like you normally do. Because right now, if you go to a real taping of The Masked Singer, you watch all their performances, you go ahead, you vote, they go ahead and they do that fake little like, oh, I'm taking off my mask. And then they go cut, and everyone has to get up and leave. So obviously in this digital world, for them, they'll go ahead and kick them off of that conference call before they reveal who's under the mask. So that made me think, can we do that here in the States? I do know that the executive producer kept on saying that, oh, the stage is going to be different, and they're working on many different things to see whether or not they can have an audience. Maybe they're just waiting to see whether or not the Australia version of the show would actually work out. You know, as far as I know, they filmed their first episode of season 2 of The Masked Singer last Saturday. That was August 1st, I believe. And that episode is now airing this weekend, which probably by now it's past Saturday. You're probably watching this past Saturday, the 8th. But I do know that they're filming on that following Monday, which I want to say is the 11th, for their 4th episode. So they're doing at least 2 episodes every single week, and they're doing it all virtual. Is that something you guys would actually like? Is that something, I mean, I do know that when we did After the Mask, you know, they had Nick Cannon on that green screen, and they stood there and they had quote-unquote fans on the screen, which turned out to be employees of Fox, but they did have fans on there, quote-unquote, watching live. Is it possible that they were testing out this virtual sort of queue thing that fans can join in and watch? That'd be really cool, right? Now, I just want to go ahead and just say to Fox, let's go ahead and take this a step further. Have you guys been watching the NBA recently? For those who don't know, you can't have fans in any stands right now, and so they're filming all of the NBA games in Disney, in this giant Disney bubble, they're calling it. Now, within this Disney bubble, of course, they still have all the team players. They have anyone who's a physical therapist, maybe they have different kinds of coaches, so on and so forth. But they figured out a way to go ahead and get fans involved in this somehow. I don't remember how they actually did it, because I feel like it was like a contest where, first let me back up and just talk about the technology. The technology is that they have these big flat screens pretty much separating all the courts, and those screens are all digital. And in those digital screens, they put in fake stands, which are digitized, remember, and then they have fans in them. That's right. So just like they have someone zooming in, they somehow made it to where you can actually see the person, and it actually looks like they're in the stands. Now, they only did it for about maybe 100 and something people. So maybe super fans, maybe they're contests from beer companies saying, hey, if you're a super fan, join in now. We'll give away seat tickets, something like that. But just looking at it, I feel like it is something that Fox could do for The Masked Singer. Obviously, there'd be no stands, but they just put screens across the way, and they just have people zoom in, just like they are in Australia, except the audience will actually be able to see it live, and the performer will be able to see the audience. That way, they can feed off the audience. When you're performing, especially in basketball, I know a lot of players are saying, without the fans there, it's empty because there's no sound, unless they're pumping in the sound like they do with the baseball leagues right now. And two, you feed off the audience. If there's no audience, you're not going to be at your best. So maybe it's possible that they could go ahead and try this. And I know a lot of you guys are like, hey, I don't watch basketball, Joey. What are you talking about basketball? What's basketball? What is it? I suck at basketball, by the way. But I wanted to go ahead and share with you what they did because it really is unique. Take a look. So as you can see, somehow, I don't know if they gave them green screens behind them, but they edited it out so that it looks like it's only their figure. And from there, they can actually watch the game. It's like you right now. If you're on YouTube right this very second, watching this video, if this video was live, you'd be able to go ahead and respond to actually what you're seeing, and then I could put that on my screen. I mean, that's technology that didn't exist, I would say, even 6-7 months ago. Brand new technology that COVID-19 kind of pushed us to create. But I feel like in the Masked Singer world, this is totally something that could work out. Now, in terms of staffing, I do know in the Australia one, for some strange reason, they have staff in different kinds of costumes kind of sitting in the rows. I don't know if that's necessary, but I mean, that would be something that we could consider for the show. Now, as far as I know, I've gone on all the ticketing websites to see if there are any virtual tickets to get in, and there was none, or physical tickets to get in, and there was none. I do know that when it came to America's Got Talent, what they had done was they had the judges separated, and then they filmed it outside on a sound stage that looked like New York City. I think that was in Warner Brothers where they actually did that. And then they had the singers perform somewhere else, and then they shot it up on a screen. That's one way you could do this show, but I would prefer that they didn't. I would kind of like them to have the whole stage, maybe have the dancers spread out a little bit more, the judges spread out. I do know that on the Masked Singer Australia, they have a divider in between the judges, so maybe that's something they might do here. I don't know. At this point, we're kind of just guessing. This time last year, we got a lot of information for the season, but hey, I understand. This is one of those times where it's like, no one knew this was going to happen. No one could predict it. No one could go ahead and find a better solution. So they're doing the best they can do, but I am excited for season 4, guys. I hope you guys are too. And if you haven't done so yet, please go ahead, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You have no idea how much I appreciate when you do that, because it helps grow this channel. I think maybe our goal is to hit 50,000 by the end of the year. I know we're at 25,000. That's something really, it took us a few years to get to that. But that is probably the goal for this channel. But once again, I want to thank you guys for joining me. And if you made it to the end of the video, you know I'd like to leave you guys with a question to answer in the comment section. And I just want to know, I mean, there's so much COVID-19 things going on. A lot of people still staying at home. What was the one thing that kept you busy during the quarantine? Let me know in the comment section. I'm Joey, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.